So welcome. I am with Brian Gallant, and he is the former Premier of New Brunswick and the CEO for the Centre of the Purpose of the Corporation, the Canadian Centre for the Purpose of the Corporation. It's New Year's, and everyone has purpose on their mind. You know, everyone sets New Year's resolutions, what they're going to focus on, where they find meaning. And Brian, I'm curious, why did you get involved with the Canadian Centre for the Purpose of the Corporation, and what inspired it?
Thank you for having me first off. It's always great to see you, and obviously very much appreciate the opportunity to chat with the followers and those watching. Purpose is such a core part of who we are, and it's a core part of our organizations, the ones that we're a part of. So when leaving politics, thought to myself, how can I continue to make a difference? How can I make sure through some type of vehicle, opportunities, challenges that I try to overcome, how can I drive things that are important to me? And it was tough because for so long that vehicle for me was politics, it was government. I believe wholeheartedly it's a fantastic way to have an impact on your community and on your family, friends, the world. So it was tough, it was different for me. And I came across the subject of how businesses and organizations of all types are trying to figure out their purpose, really try to live it to their core, and are trying to redefine the way that they implement their purpose to make sure that it really is having a societal benefit. So that was just really exciting to me because I really, in my reflections, was trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I continue the purpose that I want to be striving for? And then you come on this topic where literally is trying to help organizations figure out their purpose and live their purpose. So there was just a weird kind of meshing there. And it really, I just think is a great way to try to make a bit of a difference. And I'd like to think that I have a skill set that will be able to make an impact. I love business. I obviously am very passionate about politics. I'm a lawyer by trade, so please don't hold that against me. But all of these sort of spheres are very important for this conversation. So I told myself, I think that maybe this is what I want to be doing. I feel like I can maybe move the yardstick a bit. So since then, we've been working hard at the Canadian Centre for the Purpose of the Corporation, making sure that we're getting the word out of why this topic is important, why businesses and organizations and community leaders should be thinking about this, and that we're, of course, here to help.
Thank you so much, Brian. I have found your own kind of journey around purpose very interesting. So can you tell us more about how has purpose driven you personally and inspired you personally?
Well, it's interesting, right? I mean, I think everybody has the reflection of, okay, what do I enjoy doing? What am I passionate about? What is something that I'm able to sort of build a career around? So all of these things are very typical questions that we ask ourselves. And what's interesting is I think that often we maybe ask those questions in isolation, and we say to ourselves, okay, I have to make a decision on what type of career, what I'm going to study, whether I go back to work, whatever it might be. And we ask some of the questions that I went through in isolation, which means that often we may end up making a decision based on the one item. And I really do think that it's important when it comes to purpose, the purpose of an individual, the purpose of an organization, to really sort of mesh all of these things together. They're all very important. You want to be pursuing something as an individual, in my opinion, something that you're passionate about, something that you're either good at or you feel like you can become good at it, something that you feel the world needs so it can have an impact, and something that you can build a career around. So if you find those things, which is, if some of the viewers would like to look into those concepts a bit more, it's a Japanese concept called, I don't know if I pronounce it right, but ikigai. So they could look that up, and it talks about these four spheres. And I think it's the same thing for an organization. An organization has to think to itself, okay, so what are we passionate about as an organization? What are we trying to do for the world? Does the world need this? Are we good at it? Can we get better at it? And is it something, of course, that we can have a business model or the funding that will be necessary to continue and have the organization move forward? So really, those concepts are very similar, I think, whether you're an individual or an organization. So I basically in my life have sort of gravitated to those questions and tried to put those pieces together. And I'm really happy to say that I've been very fulfilled in my life. Obviously, I've had ups and downs like anybody else, but I really try to reevaluate things and say, am I on the right track of having all these components that I think is important to really having a a fulfilling life.
Thank you so much, Brian. You've given our listeners some real action items that they can take away. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Catherine. I really appreciate it.